What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. Today's video is going to be an honest conversation about my feelings surrounding the Buffalo Bills. I talked about the trade deadline on Tuesday or something like that. I think it was Tuesday, right when the trade deadline ended. I left my thoughts out about the Bills because I wanted to make a whole separate video giving you my thoughts about what happened on Tuesday and just my thoughts on the season as a whole. I have some mixed emotions at the moment, I can't lie, but before we get into that, you guys know the drill around here. Mott's applesauce if you're ever hungry, thirsty, whatever it might be. Mott's applesauce will satisfy whatever satisfies you to satisfy you, the Caveman guarantee. I promise it will never fail you. Let's talk some Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, that Jack Eichel jersey is no longer relevant, as far as a Buffalo Sabres jersey, that is. And that really pains me to say because that damn thing is autographed. Anyways, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. I have some pretty harsh things to say about the Buffalo Bills out of concern at the end of the day. It's just because I care. That's really what it is. And you might not agree with a lot of the shit I say in this video, but it's just what I see and I don't like it and I want to talk about it. As we all know, the Buffalo Bills, come the trade deadline Tuesday at 4 o'clock, we did absolutely nothing. We did jack shit. We sat with our thumb up our ass and just watched all the other moves happen, even though there really weren't that many other moves. But we watched. We, sat on the sidelines and did nothing. It really wasn't shocking. I was not expecting us to go throw a big boulder in the water and make a humongous splash at this trade deadline. But I thought at the very least, I would have put money on the fact that we would have went out and made a trade, maybe like a 6th or 7th round pick for some random offensive lineman just to add depth to that unit. I thought for sure that's what we would at least do. If we were going to make any trade, depth offensive line would have been the move. But we didn't even do that. Funny enough, Sean McDermott had a press conference post trade deadline and he said that he had to go and knock on Brandon Beane's office to make sure he wasn't sleeping by the trade deadline. It's kind of a joke, but it's really not funny. I mean, we have some serious concerns, at least I have some serious concerns about this team, and they're cracking jokes about how Brandon Beane's sleeping at the trade deadline. Like, that kind of bothers me. I would be 100% lying to you if I was sitting here telling you that I am 100% confident in the Buffalo Bills' ability to go all the way this year. I just don't think they're showing that they haven't. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Bills are not the best team in the AFC, but in the 2021 NFL season, how much is that saying right now? I would argue that the AFC is somewhat in shambles. We had a few issues last year, as we all know. The biggest one being pass rush. I would argue corner was another issue, and offensive line. Some people argue tight end like myself, but I think that issue has resolved itself. But there was room for improvement throughout the offseason is my point. We went out and drafted a bunch of defensive linemen to help improve the pass rush, and that's fine. We kind of addressed it with a long-term solution, aka the draft. But other than that, we made no other move whatsoever. We pretty much rolled into this season with the same exact roster, relying on the continuity and development throughout the offseason to become a better team. And I really didn't buy into that. If you kept up with my content over the last couple months now, I really did not buy into the whole continuity and development complex. There were upgrades that could have been done, but instead we were relying on the continuity and development to make us that better team that we all knew we could be. And I guess that was fine. I couldn't disprove that theory until we saw it in action. And now, throughout the first 8 weeks of football up to this point, I would argue that's not really working right now. But the first 8 weeks of football now, we're reaching the halfway point. I am not confident that we are that same Super Bowl contender that I thought we were last year. I'm just not confident that continuity and development made us that better team that it was supposed to throughout the offseason. I mean, I just don't think this unit is good enough to get it done. There are areas on this team that are going to cost us football games down the stretch. I really hate to say that, but the offensive line specifically, I mean, they're a very integral part of a football team, and they are struggling horribly. If Josh Allen didn't have that escapability and that athleticism that he obviously harnesses, the offensive line would be a lot worse on paper. They would look so much worse, to the naked eye. But of course, Josh Allen makes up for a lot of the offensive line's faults because he's able to escape pressure. I mean, if we had a stagnant quarterback back there, our offense would be miserable. Honestly, Josh Allen does so much for this football team, and Bills fans know that. There have obviously been games this year where the offensive line has been hindering the offense. They even lost us the first week of football against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would argue that they're one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, why we lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They couldn't block anybody. Of course, against the Titans, they were not very good whatsoever. In this past week against the Dolphins, guys were coming in unblocked. I was like, who's even playing up front? Nobody was even doing anything on the offensive line against the Dolphins. I mean, we were playing a 1-6, 1-7 football team, and we can't even block guys on their defensive line. I mean, that was brutal. That first half was just inexcusable. Cody Ford got benched early on. Dion Dawkins hasn't been the same since he came back from COVID. Mitch Morse has 2 offensive guards beside him that really haven't known what they're doing very often. John Feliciano's been brutal. Darrell Williams should be at right tackle, but Spencer Brown and that experiment just kind of went south. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know if Ike is going to step in. This offensive line is having the exact issue I knew it would have. I said going into the season that this offensive line was going to have problems, whether it was injury or guys not performing very well. We were going to have the same problem we had last year, which was shifting the offensive line constantly, and the top 5 guys could just never find any chemistry because the line was constantly shifting, and that is once again happening this year because why? We decided not to change anything, and everyone can see that except for the guys that have to. I mean, I just don't understand how it doesn't get through their skulls that this unit is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl last year. Patrick Mahomes, the most prolific offense in nearly the last 20 years now, they were completely stymied by a pass rush that was fierce, it was ferocious, it was in their face all game, and even Patrick Mahomes couldn't do a single damn thing about it. Why? Because their offensive line just couldn't hold up. Who's to say that doesn't happen to the Bills down the road? I mean, they can't block shit. But I mean, even if it's not a trade for an offensive lineman at the deadline, at least try and make a trade to improve your team somewhere else because you can never be too good of a football team. There's always room for improvement. And I think that concept is really hard for Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott to understand. You can always be improving your football team. There's a report floating around that we supposedly kicked the tires on Von Miller, but you know, if Brandon Beane's doing any type of inquiring for a player like that, it certainly wasn't going to be for a 2nd and 3rd round pick. He was probably like, hey, Broncos, I have like a 7th round pick for Von. Oh, no, you don't want to do that? Okay. That was probably it. Especially considering the way we've been playing as of late, which in my opinion hasn't been our best football. It's been pretty damn ugly. Just listen for a second, right? Me and my buddy Justice talked about it Wednesday night, right? We were sitting there thinking like the perfect word for this football team right now is content. They're just content. It shows on the field. We're going out there. It doesn't look like we're putting our best foot forward week in and week out. We're not looking to improve our team. You know, the front office is very content with the roster we have, even though it's obviously struggling in different areas. The word content just seems to just fit perfectly for the Buffalo Bills. And a team that is looking to win the Super Bowl should never be content at any point. For me, I just am not getting a sense of urgency from the Buffalo Bills. To me, I just feel like they're almost in cruise control. You know, they have not been playing their best football on a weekly basis. And you know, we're almost halfway through the season now, and I'm still saying this. I hope things would turn around. And it looked like they were starting to turn around for a little bit. But then the Dolphins game happened. We lost to the Titans in a brutal fashion. I understand that last play. It's really heartbreaking, but it really shouldn't have came down to that. We have a window of opportunity here that I feel like we're just not taking advantage of, and this is exactly how I felt prior to this season beginning. We're just not hopping on this opportunity where we could potentially take home the Super Bowl, which is the ultimate goal of a football team year in and year out. And I feel like, you know, Brandon Beane's thinking to himself, I'm trying to build a dynasty here. I'm trying to, you know, have years down the road where we have a better chance. And I understand that whole mindset, but that doesn't mean we overlook the year that we're currently playing in. Building for the future is great and all, but I feel like there's a point where you just got to put your pedal to the metal and take the opportunities when they come. And I feel like we're not really doing that. We're being content. By the way, there is no reason why we couldn't have called up the Pittsburgh Steelers and said, we have a 5th round pick for you. I know the Kansas City Chiefs are probably offering you like a 6th or a 7th. We have a 5th for you. Let us take Melvin Ingram. And they would have taken that, I'm sure. Why wouldn't they have taken that? But for some reason, Melvin Ingram goes to the Chiefs, our rival. You know, at least they would have been our rival if they hadn't been so shit. But he goes to the Chiefs for a 6th round pick. Like, you're telling me we couldn't have afforded a 5th round pick? A Super Bowl team, a team with Super Bowl aspirations, I should say, can't afford a player, a game-changing player for a 5th round pick? That's ridiculous right now. I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. At least try, Brandon Beane. I don't even think he did. I don't know, man. I'm very concerned. I'm worried. I don't think we're putting our best foot forward on a week-to-week basis. I feel like we're content. I feel like we're in cruise control right now. You know, we are the best team in the AFC. Like, if this is us right here, the rest of the AFC is down here, which is great. But with the rest of the AFC right now, how bad they've all been playing, we should be all the way up here if we were playing our best football. Like, the gap between the Bills and the rest of the AFC should be tremendous, but it's not, because the Bills, just like the rest of the AFC, are not playing to the best of their abilities right now. We need to be, you know, playing our best football more often than we are right now. Those are my thoughts. Leave any thoughts you have down in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload, I would appreciate that. If you want to go over to Twitter, follow me over there. I would appreciate that as well. I'm a part of the Built in Buffalo content creation team. If you enjoy Buffalo Bills content, feel free to follow, subscribe to us on any social media you might have. I really bots that. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.